Well, hi, everybody. Good evening. It is week 2 of the 2025 Michigan High School Athletic Association football season, and week 2 for the Freeland Falcons as they get set to take on Bridgeport coming up here at 7 o'clock Eastern time on the opening night, the home opener, that is, for the Freeland Falcons this 2025 season. And also, it is the conference opener on this windy night. You could probably tell in the background with the wind swirling. It's going to be, probably about 20 to 25 miles an hour out of the southwest or out of the west. You're at game time. It's going to be a chilly, chilly night for football for September the 5th, but it's going to be dry. And that's the most important thing, everybody. All right. Hi, everybody. Yours truly, Captain Lou, here with you again. Opening night at home, I should say. Can't say it's opening night. The Falcons with a big win last Thursday, rather, over Saginaw United. We'll go through that here momentarily. 35-0 as they got the season off to a good start again under some trying circumstances last week over at Saginaw United. But after kind of a bumpy start and a little bit of a rocky second half for the Falcons, they were able to come out with a 35-0 win. I guess rocky, maybe. I don't know how you could maybe say that for a 35-0 score, but still, indeed, that's what it is. You can hear the band warming up as it's parents' night or senior night, I guess you could call it, here at Falcon Stadium. And again, a lot going on here with the opening of the 2025 season. You can see the clouds in the background as well. It's going to be one of those nights tonight. I think it's going to be off and on clouds, like we said, very windy here tonight, but it's still going to be a great night for football. It's dry, and we're going to have a lot of fun here tonight. So, as we mentioned last week, not getting off on a tangent, the Falcons with a big win over Saginaw United, 35-0. They held United on their first possession. They were able to get a first down, were United, but then they held them on a punt, and then the Falcons went down the field on their opening possession, were able to get on the scoreboard. It was a 10-yard pass on third down and goal. After a penalty, they were able to get it to the 10-yard line, and Max Hine was able to find Xander Wheatley after scrambling a little bit, and he got that 7-0 touchdown, and the Falcons were able to get on the board. It stayed that way until the second quarter, a little back and forth. The Falcons were stopped on a 3-and-out, but they got the ball in the second quarter, and Parker Lentner was able to culminate an 11-play, 65-yard drive for the Falcons to make it 14-0. The extra point was good, and then it stayed that way for the majority of the second quarter. They were able to pin Saginaw United deep in their own end, called a timeout with 18 seconds left, and on fourth down, they put the all-out punt block on, did the Falcons, and they were able to get the punt block as Tristan Comer got the block. They recovered it at the 1-yard line, and that really was a backbreaker for Saginaw, as the Falcons were able to call on Parker Lentner again, this time from 1 yard out. They made it 21-0, and it was that was a backbreaker. That and a long pass that they had open down the left sideline, on the far sideline in the second quarter, that was dropped. They had the Falcon defender beat in the first half, and so Falcons took it, made it 21-0 at the half, and it looked pretty good for the Falcons going into halftime. The second half, in the third quarter, the Falcons got the ball on the opening kick, went down the field, and they fumbled. So that gave the United, the Phoenix, back the ball. But then, of course, they were able to stop them, obviously, with the shutout. They got the ball back again, and unfortunately for the Falcons, they fumbled again. That gave the ball back to the Phoenix, unable to do anything. The Falcons got the ball back, and in the start of the fourth quarter, the Falcons were able to push the ball down the field. And again, this was kind of an odd drive. It was just one of those nights for the Falcons as they were stymied with penalties. I think they had 5 penalties on that drive, but were still able to get the drive and were able to score. Kellen East from 3 yards out, 9 plays, 52 yards. The extra point was good, and the Falcons were up 28-0. And then towards the end, Keenan Cooper got in on the act. The Falcons got the ball back as they recovered the fumble on the kickoff, and they were able to go 3 plays, 60 yards, and they were able to get a 19-yard touchdown run from Keenan Cooper. Extra point again was good, and that's where it stood. 35-0, the Falcons were able to win, and was able to take game 1 of the 2025 season. again, kind of a tough one. It was just, I talked to head coach Kevin Townsend throughout the week, and he mentioned that, there were some things to clean up. And, you always wonder what you get on the opening game, and it's always the scenario too with a Thursday night game before Labor Day weekend. Some schools don't have class. Some of them do. But the Falcons were able to make it work, and, they pretty much had their way with it still. And if you can say it was kind of a rough game with a 35-0 score, again, the Falcons do still have a lot to they've got a lot to to make up on that, but they'll do all right. You could probably see some of the band members in the background with this wind going like 20 to 30 miles an hour. You got to keep an eye on your papers and everything here. So you got football players also on the band getting a little bit of exercise chasing after the paper, but that's all right. It's so the Falcons with a 35-0 victory take game one, and they're going to now march on to game two coming up tonight in this home opener parents night. As you can see, the sun in the background probably making it almost look like a silhouette. Trying something different this year, by the way, with our pregame show, at least the first portion of it, to just kind of take it out on the field, just get a little feel for it here, get a little more game ready, if you will. So anyways, the Falcons with the 35-0 win take game one, and now they can turn their attention tonight to game two. It's a conference opener too. That was a non-conference game with Saginaw last week, so tonight will be game two, the home opener of the Tri-Valley Conference Red for the Falcons as they do battle with Bridgeport here tonight. Let's take a look at some of the scores last week from around the Tri-Valley Conference. All of these were non-conference games last week, I should say, on Thursday and or Friday. Freeland, as we mentioned, with the win 35-0 over United. It was Caro taking on Bridgeport, our opponent tonight, and it was a 66-0 win for Caro over Bridgeport. So they're going to be smarting coming in tonight for the home opener of the Falcons and the conference opener for both teams. Over in Alma, they've got a brand new field now. They've got a turf field, so no more mud bowls, as Shepherd went down there and got a non-conference win over Alma 17-7. Some big games, also non-conference action. How about Bay City John Glenn? We're going to take them on in homecoming in week 7. They got a win over South Lyon East 24-17, so a big win for Glenn. Garber took on Hemlock just down the road, and they were able to edge Hemlock 20-18. And then Swan Valley, our opponent next week over at Swan Valley for the Mountain Trophy, 55-35 over Croswell Lexington. So they put a bunch of points up on Lexington, and they're able to get the win there. And Goodrich took on Frankenmuth, a battle of two teams that seem to be the Falcons' kryptonite over the years. This one went to Goodrich, 17-14 over Frankenmuth. So big games over there in the non-conference action. Coming up tonight, week 2, all conference. We have one non-conference game, and that's going to be Flint Powers taking on Essexville Garber. But the other games in the conference are going to be Alma taking on Bay City John Glenn. Frankenmuth is going to take on Swan Valley tonight as well. And, of course, our game here at Falcon Stadium, it's going to be Bridgeport coming here to take on Freeland. So those are the matchups tonight in week 2 of conference action here in the Tri-Valley Conference Red. So also last week, the games around the area on the network, we had some big games. Saline took on Rockford, and Rockford fell short in that one, 37-28. Granville took on Muskegon. That was a big matchup, back and forth on that one, and Granville came on top of the Big Reds, 44-40. Lowell beat East Grand Rapids 40-7. Ludington took on Coopersville, and Coopersville dropped that one 40-13. Big matchup at Hudsonville. They took on Byron Center. 27-21 was that final. Hudsonville with the big win there. Zeeland West, the defending state champs in Division III. They won over Old Redford 44-0. South Christian over Grand Rapids Christian 27-14. Other scores, Forest Hills Northern lost to Kennewa Hills 31-28. And Tri-County over Ovid Elsie 24-15. And a few other scores. Central Montcalm opened up with a win 36-16 over Houghton Lake. And it was Newaygo falling to Kent City by the score 42-22. And One other score, it was Manton over Vesterberg, 44-0. Well, we mentioned also tonight, we've got, let's see if I can count them real quick here, 3, 6, 9. We got 12 games on the docket. 12 games on the docket tonight on Michigan Sports Radio, including this one here between Freeland and Bridgeport. We've got some big matchups, some crosstown matchups, maybe a few non-conference matchups we're going to keep an eye on. Granville is traveling over to Detroit to take on Cass Tech. Cass Tech rated the number 1 team in the land, the defending state champs in Division I. They're going to take on Granville. That ought to be a dandy matchup there, as Granville, again, with a big win over Muskegon. We talked about Muskegon losing that game. Well, they're going to take on Rockford up in Muskegon. Rockford smarting after the loss last week, 37-28 to Saline. So they're looking to get on the winning track there. On that Granville game, Michigan Game Nights, Nate Dreyer is going to be on the radio call on that one. And Brock Conkle is going to have the call, as he always does for Rockford, as they take on Muskegon. Coopersville, they're going to take on Grand Rapids West Catholic. That's going to be a big matchup. Coopersville looking to try to get even on the year at 1-1. Always a tough matchup with West Catholic, though, as Scott Morgan will have the call of that one. Here's another big matchup. Hudsonville, of course, they made it to the state finals last year in Division I. They're going to travel down to East Lansing to take on the Trojans. East Lansing, always a great team. And that's going to be a heck of a matchup in East Lansing. Dave Van Ord's going to have the call of that one coming up for you tonight on Michigan Sports Radio. Grand Rapids Catholic Central, they're going to take on St. Thomas More out of Canada at home tonight, as Eric Wells is going to have the call of that one. Matt Geica, he's got another Zeeland West game tonight. Of course, 44-0 over Old Redford last week. They're going to take on Holland West Ottawa. West Ottawa lost 30-27 last week to Grand Ledge, so they're looking to get on the winning track. Dave Princer is going to be at host Tri-County tonight as they take on Sanford Meridian. Other games, Newaygo, their broadcast crew is going to have the game at home against Central Montcalm. Forest Hills Northern is going to take on Jenison. East Grand Rapids is going to take on, they're going to travel to South Christian. We're going to have that one as well. Manton at Beale City. That's going to be an interesting matchup as well. Beale City, of course, always a powerhouse in Division 8 for many years now, an 8-man football powerhouse as well. And it's going to be Portage Central against Forest Hills Central. And finally, tomorrow, the opening game of the 2025 season for Calvin College as they travel down to Oberlin College. Bob Sack will have the call along with Jim Timmer. 12:45 will be the pregame on that one with a 1 o'clock kick. So big matchups around the dial here on Michigan Sports Radio tonight. And, of course, ours here on our pregame show coming up to our 7 o'clock kick. That's going to be, of course, the Bearcats of Bridgeport traveling here to take on the Falcons. Senior night, the opener here on for the home opener of the 2025 season, and also the home opener or the conference opener in the Tri-Valley Red. Couple of games here this weekend too, or let's give you the results real quick before we go to break. In the JV matchup last night over at Bridgeport, the Falcons, a 15-0 win. That game ended in the second quarter as Bridgeport unfortunately had a couple of injuries and ran out of players. So a big win for the Falcons. They go 2-0. And congratulations to the freshman team as well. A big win, 51-12 over Pinconning's JV. So Bill Wheeler's team as well with a big win yesterday. All right, that's going to do it here for this segment of the Freeland Falcons pregame show. For those of you watching on our Facebook, my Facebook page, and also on X, and on the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page, we invite you to stop on now over to Michigan Sports Radio and pick up the rest of the pregame show and the kickoff at 7 o'clock. And for those of you watching on Michigan Sports Radio, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in about 3 minutes with more of the pregame show. It's senior night here from Freeland Stadium. It's the Falcons and it's the Bearcats. And it's coming up soon right here on MichiganSportsRadio.com.